if you or someone you love.
Janet Doman from the Institutes for the Achievement of Human Potential. And right now, I want to get a very, if we can, basic lesson or explanation as to how this works, why it works. Glenn, if you would.
Well, first of all tiny children are born with a rage to learn. And they are because learning is a survival skill. Its nature has built the brain so that in the first 6 years of life, you can take in all information at a rate that would stagger an adult. The best example is that all tiny children, to everybody born in Philadelphia tonight, English is a foreign language. And without anybody teaching them, just being exposed to English, they all learn English. Very few people ever do that again. Now, the brain has 3 requirements to learn. And this is particularly true in tiny children, and the tinier, the more true. It's easier to teach a 5 than a 6, easier to teach a 4 than a 5, easier to teach a 3 than a 4, down to a newborn. There are 3 requirements to learn something. That is, it be presented with frequency, intensity, and duration. So if we want the children to learn anything, we break it down into what a computer would call bits of information. We call them bits of intelligence. And say, this is Raphael. And we do that frequently, very, very quickly.
Sort of the flashcard effect, and we are going to see a demonstration.
Well, that term grates on me because it's instead of being junk, it is the highest kind of information. It's the Encyclopedia Britannica sort of thing.
Or
because the information itself that you present to be correct must be precise, discrete, and non-ambiguous. So far from I'll zip up a flashcard, it's the exact opposite. Since you're putting it into the brains of children, and since unlike a computer, it is not easily erased, you are dealing with the world's most precious material when you deal with a tiny child's brain, and therefore you want to make sure it's absolutely accurate.
All right, and we want to get very clear to people watching that a lot of us can't believe the fact that these children don't have a higher IQ. They don't have some God-given gifts or talents. You're saying, Janet, that you can take any child out there watching, any child of any parent out there watching, and apply this method of imparting information very quickly and repeating that information, and that they will learn starting when? At what age?
Starting in utero, and certainly actively on mother's part teaching at birth. Because it's really, for instance, it's not the Doman method. It's an age-old method of nature that says mom is the best teacher. She knows her kid better than anybody else. And tiny kids are dying to learn. Every mother knows that. You don't have to have a PhD in being a professional mother to know your kid is dying to learn.
All right. Let me ask Micah, when did you start to learn math? Do you remember?
No, I don't know. Really.
It's lost in antiquity.
And you understand, one of the beauties of talking to these kids is if you say to these kids, do you think you're smart? Do you think you're special? Of course they don't. They've been doing this since they were a little kid. Their attitude toward life is, well, of course everyone could learn the violin if they were given the opportunity.
But who can teach me Japanese? You all know Japanese in this row?
Sure.
You could teach me Japanese? You think so, Kara?
Sure.
Yeah. Teach her a word in Japanese, Kara.
Sayonara.
Sayonara. Wait a minute, though. It's too late for me. We've already talked about the fact that you really do have to get into the ground floor. And the younger, as you said, it's easier to teach a 5-year-old than it is a 6-year-old. Now, how do you start teaching in utero, Glenn?
Well, for instance, we don't do much in utero, but babies learn in utero. For instance, if you beat a drum during last times of pregnancy, during the last days of pregnancy, the baby's heart rate will change to accommodate that. Actually, we do very little then, but we start at birth.
All right.
And literally at birth.
All right, now, we also have to explain to folks that this involves a real big commitment on the part of the parents.
Yeah, yes, if you're going to be a full-time professional mother, the way these children's mothers are, that's true. But if you have very little time with your child, it becomes infinitely more important that the quality of that time be great.
Okay, I think right now we're going to take a look at some of the kids who are on tape at this point, because this illustrates the concept of repeating the information very quickly. And I think we're going to see, I hope I'm right, you're twins, is that correct?
Yes.
And how old were they when this was shot?
I believe 14, 15 months.
Yeah,
They're pretty little.
Okay. And we're also going to take a look at, I happen to know, because he's a veteran of this show, I think your son Jason's also on this tape, right, Mr. Sherman?
Yes.
Okay. And how old was Jason when he started in the program?
I think about 3.
3 months.
3 months and 3 years in some months. I'm not sure.
He's 3
Jane,
years
these
on the
children
tape.
all
3 years,
start
yes.
at 2 or 3.
Right.
But their young siblings started sometimes in utero.
Okay, and
So Jason started at about 3 months.
Yeah.
And in this tape, he's about
Tape is
3
about
years.
3 years. The tape is 3 years.
Okay. Going to take a look. Is this my favorite subject? Is this math?
Yes, I think
Let's take a look.
Stephanie, where is 4 plus 3? Right. 7.
4 plus 3 is 7. Wow.
Where is 6 plus 6? Right. 12. Excellent.
Here's the equation. It's 99 divided by 3 plus 7 minus 8. Which one of these answers would you like for that one? Let's see if you're right. I don't know the answer. You are right, man. Perfect. Excellent. You get to keep both of those. You're too fast for me. Okay, here's another one. 500 plus 300 divided by 8 minus 12. And here are 2 possible answers. Which one would you like? Let's see if you're right. You are right. How can you do this?
Every time I see it, and I've seen it a couple of times, I still don't believe it. Let me ask you, Janet used the term full-time professional mother, was that correct? What does that mean to you, really?
Well, professional mother is for me to take care of my children and teach them as much as I can and live with them, show them everything that I can from the world and guide them so that eventually in a few years they will be, with no help from my part, they will be able to be in the world and to deal with the world as adults, very responsible and very independent.
All right, but when you first got in with this program, were you at all skeptical? Did you think that it was going to work?
Yes, definitely.
How did you know?
Because I could see my older child, the way he was learning, the 2-year-old, how he was learning, at the rate that he was learning, and I was desperate because I had nothing to do with it. I couldn't teach him, I couldn't do anything, so when I heard that there was a way of teaching a child that he could learn, I said, yeah, sure, no problem.
Tell us the truth, Mrs. Sherman. You ever get tired of those dots?
The dots...
We have to take a break. We're going to come back with the kids and more about the program right after these messages. Stay with us.